Top of the morning, peace and love. This morning I had something in my heart I feel like I need to share. Lately I've been doing this really for myself to kind of these are really notes to self. I'm happy I can share these things with y'all, but lately I've been in the space of understanding what the process of mourning really is. Mourning old things, situations, people, and a lot of that, even I feel like we know that part, that's normalized, but what about the old parts of yourself that you have yet to let go? I think for me, that's been a big thing too. Just to kind of put it in perspective for you, I lost my brother to suicide in 2014, and I think for years that has been a part of I've been mourning that for longer than I realized. And not that it's ever going to really end, because that's something that was, detrimental to my existence in a way, but it also enhanced who I became as a man spiritually. That's when I got the closest to God. There was a lot of times I was in a spiritual fight to even really want to be, I was like, well, if this is the case, then if people around me dying like this, then how are you serving me as a God? I really had a moment with God that year. That was real. I remember them days, right? And now as I'm being guided, I'm also understanding that there's parts that are just gonna be part of the mourning process. There's times I'm walking and I'll just begin to have a face full of them, face full of tears, And like Nip said, but I don't wipe them, no. We just embrace the only life we know. If it was me, I'd tell you, live your life and grow, And that's the real truth about it. When I really sit back and think about it, that's the shit I would say to my brother in that time. Live your life and grow, And that's what I have to encompass upon myself. It's that's part of the process. Mourning is sometimes, I wouldn't say never ending, but it's a process, It's not an overnight thing. Growing a tree is a process. You don't just plant the seed and even in that point, when you plant the seed got to be covered by dirt. So there's a part of darkness that the seed go through that we don't really understand even as people. We want to just pop up and have it, and sometimes you don't even realize you still underground. You ain't even seen the sun yet. You searching for the sun. And now that I feel like I'm really embarking on that path where I've reached soil and I'm looking at, I'm reaching for the sun, I'm beginning to see myself in a different light in a lot of different ways. And I'm grateful for every experience I've had, even the ones that I felt were painful, because pain is part of the process too. Iron sharpen iron. That's not an easy task at all. So I'm just in this space where I'm thankful to be able to feel everything. I've really just taken moments to be in pure sobriety, bro, just to really feel everything. Because ain't no reason to have to, when you numbing yourself, and I went through a phase of that, especially after my brother died. I numbed myself for years. And then you realize, when you sit with yourself and everything, and you forced to really feel it all, it really hits you, And now, instead of those overly drastic moments, I just have little glimpses, and it really, a lot of the time, it be tears of joy, because I'm man, I got to share that moment. Sometimes I'll be in my space of even reliving it, it be so real, And I really just got in here to share with y'all, don't ever feel little boy, Rowdy, what's up? Top of the morning. But don't ever feel you got to put a timer on your healing process. I think that's where we fail as humans, is having our own way of thinking that your healing process, I should be over this by now, or why isn't this done yet? there's another part of it that you have not yet received, and being able to go through that and get the full existence of the lesson is really the truth of like the blessing, you know. But we be so caught up in trying to be over things where it's like, well, it's okay to not be over it. That's a point in your life. That's an existing time that really still lives in you because you still alive, you know. No matter what the circumstance was, you still have the memories, the existence of that experience is really still alive. And I think so many times we will dead a situation or something will happen and we'll lose somebody, and we want to just completely forget everything that came with it to help us get through it. But that's a coping mechanism. That's not being healed, you know? That's not being healed. And I've been giving gratitude to the moments that I've been able to share with others, you know, and with whether they be in my life or not still. And I think once you realize that, like, it's just a part of your growing process that God has been able to enlighten you with, and prayerfully so you've been able to enlighten others with, you know, because your existence matters too. You've played a big part in other people's lives as well, you know. So my whole thing is, you know, don't ever rush your mourning process. I feel like we like to rush things in this instantaneous life. I'm not saying hold on to it in a way where it becomes a bind for your growth, but I'm saying grow through it, embrace it, feel it, and thank God for the memory that you were able to have, or whatever exists in time that was cherishable. Hold on to those parts. We so often hold on to the reasons why we can't grow because of this happened and this happened to me. But it's like, no, like, this happened to me, but now I can share this experience with somebody. And I could probably enlighten somebody that may be going through this, or maybe prevent this from happening. You know, like, I lost my brother, but I gained like 1 million people. I gained 1 million of them. I swear to God. Right hand of God. I lost my brother, but I gained 1 million brothers, because there's so many people that even by myself, like, have been going through, I've met in mental turmoil that I've been able to, like, really enlighten by the grace of God, because it's not me. But being able to be used as a vessel like that, it's been an experience nonetheless. So go out here, embrace your experiences, share them with people. That's part of the mourning process too, being able to share what you've gone through so people can relate and you can relate to them. And in that time, just allow yourself to be. Don't put a timer on your mourning process, you know? Top of the morning. Love y'all.